You could argue that. I think it's probably more of a stopgap measure. They said they were going to cut back on bond purchases. It's just going to be a month later than people expected, which I think also shifts the timing of any interest rate hikes a little bit. A lot of people had put their money onto a hike in July. But seeing how the next meeting will probably be focusing on the modalities of their bond purchases now, it's more likely that that hike will instead shift into September. September is also going to be work well timing-wise, because by that point you're going to get data for the second quarter of the year, new GDP data, and that GDP data will probably look a little bit better than the data we just saw this week, which showed the economy was contracting in the first quarter of the year. So that makes it hard to justify tightening policy at this point in time, I would say.
So the next BOJ meeting happening on July 30th and 31st, I did mark my calendar there. But if the QT announcement has been pushed back to July, then does that somehow push back the rate hike schedule in the market's mind? Because they cannot be doing both in one meeting.
I mean, I suppose in principle they could, but I would agree with you. I think it's a good chance that that schedule gets pushed back now because of the decision that they made today. The decision today is going to be a stopgap measure to keep markets on hold, and with that, the timing of the rate hike shifts into the future a little bit. I think it ultimately speaks to the many different pressures that are facing the Bank of Japan right now. It's dealing with an economy that is not doing particularly well. Inflation momentum is also slowing. But on the other hand, you have the weak yen, which only adds to inflation if it stays weak. So if they continue to support the economy, they risk weakening the yen further. If they hike, they might help the yen, but then you might damage domestic consumption and investment spending. So they don't really have any good options at the moment. And I think today's decision ultimately speaks to that.